Welcome back to The Rebel's Edge. I'm John Najarian. My brother Pete will be joining me shortly. I am coming to you from the Greenbrier here in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. And Pete will be coming in from Minnesota. You'll be able to tell by all the trophies in the background. And we will be covering macro minute, fantastic futures, stocks, and maybe some sports. All that coming your way in the next 15 seconds. Bang. That's Pete Najarian. I'm John Najarian, and lucky enough to be here at the site of the alternative congressional headquarters, Pete. Just in case like a bomb went off during the Cold War, they had built underground here at the Greenbrier an entire area to support both the House and the Senate, as well as the president, underground here in a big bunker to show you how bad things were during the Cold War, I guess, how much fear there was out there. What would that VIX have been, Pete?
You got more characters walking around behind you than shake a stick at, but they're loving it. I guarantee.
They're on the tour, Pete.
That's right.
Well, again, Pete Najarian, folks. I'm John Najarian. We welcome you back to another exciting Rebel's Edge.
Yeah.
And even though coming to you from the Greenbrier, we're going to hit what we always do, kicking it off with, of course, Macro Minute. And in Macro Minute, Pete, I'm going to say ongoing trade talks between the U.S. and China have created cautious optimism because they've already taken down some of the tariffs, for instance, on the steel stocks, which is why Nucor, NUE, as well as Cliffs, CLF, that benefited from the idea of higher tariffs on steel imported into this country. Now they're giving all that back because those tariffs are going away. What do you got for macro, Pete?
Yeah, I just think this whole conversation with Bessent and being over in London and coming back with what sounded like very favorable negotiations that could be great. And I know the president's pretty excited about it as well. So I think, like you said, a little bit cautious still because we've heard stuff like this sort of in the past, but hopefully this is actually something concrete. And I kind of believe that it will be, John. But for right now, I think that's got to be the biggest influence on the markets, and it's giving the markets another lift. I mean, the S&P is just continuing that move to the upside, along with the Dow and along with the NASDAQ. So pretty strong so far this morning.
Well, and then as far as fantastic futures, Pete, I'm going to say commodity trading, in particular oil prices, have been seeing a whoop, whoop, whoop to the upside. Not huge, but up about $1.50 per barrel of WTI, West Texas Intermediate. And we're basically $66 a barrel. So that's going to be my fantastic future, Pete.
Yep, off to the races is what it is, John. Matter of fact, yesterday that was mine. And one of the reasons that I selected crude oil was just the run that it's had. It's highest level in a few months. So it's pretty nice to see that from that perspective. What I like also seeing is the VIX going down, down, down. And now we're pretty much settling in, John, somewhere in the 16s. Yes, we got into the 17s today, but it's a very tight range. Call it 1630 to 1720, but it's definitely tilted towards the lower part right now. So pretty interesting, down 2.5, almost 3% on the VIX. That says a lot about where people feel we are right now in terms of the markets themselves and specifically what's going on, I think, over the conversations that were going on in London.
Yeah, well, let's hope those conversations continue to be positive as they have been reported to be so far, Pete.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's take a look at what's going on with the big webinar that's coming your way tomorrow, folks. And you do not have to be there live, but it will be live. This is not a recording. It's going to be live at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, June 12th. It's going to have, as you see on your screens, my brother Pete Najarian, Greg McDermott, Mark Lopresti. They're going to uncover market opportunities to start trading smarter. You know, our motto over here, other than follow the smart money, is trade smarter. And they're going to give you some great tips tomorrow. You do need to register in order to attend, but if you do register, we will send you a copy of the entire presentation, of the entire video. They'll record it and send it out to you. So if 4 p.m. Eastern time is not convenient, okay, then by all means, just join us and go to marketrebellion.com/register. That's marketrebellion.com/register. The link's in the description. Okay. Well, as far as stocks, Pete, let's take a look at quantum computing giant QUBT, because this one just getting a heck of a boost today. In fact, we had unusual in this name, folks, and these calls have now exploded. They went from whatever it was it 35 cents, Pete, to now they're trading $5.31. Now that's better than a 10x for this. And the news really is just spectacular for these guys, for quantum. NVIDIA's CEO was just saying very positive things about them in Paris at the GTC. So that's what's driving it, Pete.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And I'll tell you, John, Jensen Huang, it wasn't that long ago that he said, you know what, this quantum computing, this is way out into the future, way out into the future. So even a really smart guy like him, and I think we all have a lot of respect for what he's done with NVIDIA, but he said 20 years. I mean, now it doesn't seem like it's 20 days. I mean, he's really embracing this thing. But that's why it's jumping the way it is, John. Quantum computing obviously up as much as 28%. The stock didn't hit the 52-week highs, but got pretty close. It got up there over 21, and 27 is the 52-week highs. Massive short interest in this name helps a lot, and that's, I think, why you're seeing almost a 30% move to the upside in this name. They got a great balance sheet. There's so many different positives that come out of this, John, that last month their numbers, they weren't great, but when you look at the forecast for revenue with a growth of about 70%, I would say that's pretty damn great. So that's sort of the underside of this thing on why it's still making a move to the upside. And those shorts, I think they're getting squeezed pretty big at this point in time.
Oh, yeah. And Rigetti is benefiting from it as well. Yeah. RGTI, that one's moving. All right, Pete, how about SailPoint? This one is up almost 17% right now, surging after the cybersecurity firm raised their full year outlook. You and I know that when these companies report their earnings, unless it's a real surprise, they're probably going to be pretty close to revenue and EPS. But then it's the guidance going forward. That's the next quarter. And these guys went beyond that. They went for full year and they said up, up, up. And that's why SailPoint's holding on to such a strong move in the mid-session today.
Yep. As a matter of fact, that's another one that's very close to those 52-week highs. Like you said, it's up anywhere between, call it 17 and almost 20%. They raised the full year outlook. That was a big thing. They also talked about Q2 rather, projected that one above the consensus as well. When you've got strong product demand and you're doing everything right from a cybersecurity perspective that they are right now, John, and some of their projections, that's why this stock is making the kind of move that it's making today. I wouldn't be surprised if it's more than a one-day move as we're seeing the stock absolutely rocket to the upside. Like we said, last I looked, it was trading, I think, closer to about 23 bucks. 26 is the 52-week highs. We might test those numbers today or tomorrow.
Certainly looks like we might, Pete. Now let's take a look at what's going on with Oklo, because kind of out of nowhere, Pete, they got an intended award to provide clean, reliable power to an Air Force base in Alaska. Now, Oklo, as you guys know, is an SMR, small modular reactor. So these aren't the nuclear reactors like the kind you see at 3 Mile Island. These are the kind you can fit on the back of a semi. And when you can generate the kind of power that can literally not just power a data center, but power a small city, that's pretty spectacular. That's why shares were up over 30% today on this contract. And yeah, we have unusual activity. They're coming for it with both hands today on this report, Pete.
Mm-hmm. Happening today. And that was interesting. So in other words, hey, they're pretty excited about what's going on. They're still excited even today with the stock running the way it is, John. It was a little bit lower than it is right now, but it was $67.66 is what the 52-week highs were. That was hit today. It's up as much as 27% or more. It's a stock that was $5 to $67+ coming into today in terms of its 52-week low and high. This stock has been ripping, and I know that we talked about this one at multiple conferences later last year, back in November and December. Pretty interesting. This advanced nuclear technology is something that's incredible. And the fact that Alaska, the Air Force Base, is they're the one that they selected, I think it says a lot about what this fast reactor technology really is. And Oklo is certainly buying that and doing really, really well. I think this is a stock, John. I don't know where it stops, but I don't think it's done running to the upside just yet. Pullbacks, maybe, but I think this thing's ultimate trajectory is up and to the upper right.
Yeah, no doubt about that, Pete. This is those small modular reactors, folks. That's what the data centers need. That's what, like I say, anybody that experiences power outages from whether it's hurricanes or tornadoes or thunderstorms, whatever might knock out power, these guys are going to be, I think, the future. Nano-nuclear as well, NNE. Put that one on your calendar to watch. Both of them seeing huge money flows. Mm-hmm. All right, one more stock, Pete. Let's talk about GitLab because shares are down hard. The DevOps company issued slightly underwhelming Q2 and full year guidance. Just a couple moments ago, I talked about how important forward-looking guidance is for these companies. Well, these guys underwhelmed Wall Street with what they offered. And for that reason, it was palms out. People were selling, Pete, and I don't know that they've really stopped selling all day today.
No, stock's been under some huge pressure, John. Last I looked, it was down 12%, might be more now. I did see it actually start to come back a little bit. It was only down about 7% at one point in time, but not sure where it is right now. But I can tell you this, stock was $74 in February. Today, it's trading a lot closer to about $44. And the problem was, like you said, it's underwhelming. It's not that they got crushed or anything. They didn't get the numbers that they wanted. It just wasn't something that they needed to be overwhelming, and they weren't. And because of that, you know, the full year guide, people just kind of sort of scratching around, not all that interested in that. And the Q2, a little bit lower end on both the earnings and the revenue side of it. That's the problem. It just wasn't exciting. And because of that, people were willing to just start to turn and sell this thing to the downside. I don't know when it stops the selling. It's probably a name you want to keep an eye on, though. I think they actually do a lot of things very well, and maybe they will be over the next year. But I think right now the pressure is on because everybody else has delivered so well in the industry, and this one was just not very much to write home about.
Yeah, well, we'll keep an eye on it, Pete, but I don't know that GitLab's done. I don't mean that at all. And as Pete points out, from mid-70s all the way down to mid-40s, at some point, I think the DevOps group, they really appreciate this company and what you can do there. So I would not throw them out baby with the bathwater. But this was not a positive report.
Right.
All right. Let's take a look at one of your favorite combos, Pete. That would be the combination of Mike Tomlin and one Aaron Rodgers. Here he is coming out onto the field. Let's take a look and listen.
The Aaron Rodgers conversation has become so weird and distorted that we're being fed takes like this on ESPN.
Weird and distorted. That's a great example.
Pittsburgh this year. First guest, D. Wood.
Just a guy.
Now, if you want to get weird with Rodgers off the field takes, that's fine. I'll probably
I don't know
agree
what he
with
said.
you, but that clip is from yesterday, and the point Woody goes on to make is completely untrue. He says Brady is the only QB to play well into his 40s. Meanwhile, Favre and Breeze both won a division title in their 40s. Let's zoom out, though. If we actually want to project how Rodgers will look this year, we have to go back to the second half.
He didn't have a bad year last year either,
considering
John.
it was his first season back.
That's the other side of it.
In the final 7 games, something flipped. Aaron threw for 13 TDs and just 4 interceptions. Look at this throw in week 16. It's play action, which Arthur Smith loves. He throws on the run over 2 defenders to the back of the end zone for a TD. Rodgers was playing the type of football that the Steelers have been lacking since Ben tore his elbow. Now, it still wasn't the MVP stat line that he put up in Green Bay, but that's fine. There's a reason he's making less than Daniel Jones this year. Aaron not only understands his best days are behind him, but he understands that to be successful in the NFL, you don't need to be in the MVP conversation. Like 95% of QBs, Aaron needs help. The Steelers are in a good position to do it. Their top 5 cap hits are all defensive players. Jaguars in
great.
the last 3
Just
drafts
really
have been
good.
all about building the trenches and developing a run game. If key players in these units like Broderick Jones, Troy Fautanu, and Caleb Johnson can step up this year, and Aaron can play like he did in the second half of last season, he won't be just a guy. He'll be a guy competing with Baltimore and Cincinnati for a division title. I'm Fred Mickle-Smith, and that's my take.
He has a
Yeah.
great take. That's a great take. I agree with everything there because of the fact that, and I like Damian Woody, so I'm not going to be hard on him. But I will say, you know what? Sometimes you got to do all that research, though. Aaron was not terrible last year. As a matter of fact, was the team terrible? Yes, the Jets. But they're the Jets, and they've been terrible for a long time, right? So that's just the reality of it all. And you start watching Aaron Rodgers last year, John, you start saying, just as he points out, you look at the second half of the season, and it's like, this guy's pretty damn good.
Oh, yeah.
He's still Aaron Rodgers, even if he is in his 40s.
Let me throw this out, Pete. From 2019, he put up 4,000 yards, 26 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And as you've already said, last year, his 2024 season, he did pretty damn well. I mean, last year he put up, he had a passer rating of 90.5, 3,900 yards, 28 touchdowns. Yes, he did have 11 interceptions, and he was sacked a lot. But I think the fact that he was sacked a lot really contributed to those 11 interceptions, Pete. And again, comparing 2019 Aaron Rodgers with the Packers to how he did last year, it's almost dead even, except for those 7 extra interceptions. And again, I can put that on the O-line.
Yeah.
At least part of it, Pete, because he was running for his life. What did he have? 40 some odd sacks last year, Pete?
Yeah.
I think something like that. So, yeah, if Woody or Woods, whatever, wants to say that he was over the hill and he's just a guy, I will take the other side of that bet with Mr. Woody.
Yeah, and here's the thing, John. We're talking about this like the Pittsburgh Steelers are like the Jets. We're that's been the conversation, not you and I, but the conversation around talking about the NFL. It's like, well, Pittsburgh doesn't have a quarterback. That's true. But, last year they had Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, right? They did pretty good. They actually did better than probably a lot of people would have expected. And by the way, the team was 10-7. It's not like these guys were 3-14 or something, whatever. I mean, they actually are a pretty damn good football team. And I think with Aaron Rodgers at the quarterback position, John, they've got a great receiver in DK Metcalf. They got in free agency. That was a great move. To sign him because they've got a big athlete. They've got one of the better tight end duos, but specifically the starter, one of the better tight ends in football. Doesn't get talked about a lot, but they do have a great defense at the Pittsburgh Steelers, John. I mean, they are really good. As a matter of fact, this year in the draft, they do what they always do. They drafted 7 people. 5 of them were on defense, 2 are on offense. Gives you a little idea of who Tomlin is and how he wants to run this team. He wants to stop people and outscore them, and it worked last year when they were 10-7. I don't see any reason why it couldn't work this year. Baltimore was 12-5. That's not that far away from where Pittsburgh was. And Cincinnati was 9-8, just below where Pittsburgh was. So gives you a little bit of an idea. They're right there. They are literally right there. And if some of these running backs that they've got a bunch of them. If they can get some of those running backs, one of them was the kid out of Iowa. I got to tell you, John, that offense I think could improve dramatically with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. It's a matter of time. And is he concentrated? Is he really, really focused on this thing? I sure hope he is, because I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are expecting him to be that.
Yeah, so am I. That's what I'm expecting too, Pete. All right, what else do you got?
Well, I thought we'd just point this one out just to kind of throw some prayers out and everything else. But, Jim Harbaugh is actually a great guy. And over the years, I've gotten to really, really like him. And he and I, he was at Michigan when I was at Minnesota. We had a lot of conversations, a lot of games. He won most of them. but Michigan was always that dominant team. The poor guy, John, in the offseason, and I didn't hear about this till just literally today, cardiac ablation and a hip replacement. So, these quarterbacks, they get hit a lot. I don't know how many sacks that Jim had in his career, but I can tell you it's probably a very high number because of the teams that he played on and bounced around and all the rest of it. Plus just, daily living and everything else. Obviously, the cardiac thing says something about, some of the exercise that he's done. And he's always been known for his clothing. He wears the crazy clothes, the kind of untucked shirts and the funny khaki pants and all the rest of it. But I'll tell you what, John, I think he is ready. He looks great. He's lost some weight. There's no doubt about that. He looks great. And with Justin Herbert and a Chargers team that went to the playoffs last year in 11-6, I think that they are a team that nobody talks about. They talk about the Ravens, talk about Cincinnati and Buffalo and the rest. I'll tell you what, I kind of think the Chargers have something to say about this as well. Maybe the Raiders as well. I don't know. I don't know where it's all going to end, but I can tell you this, the Chargers are loaded up right now. Offensive line, quarterback, the running backs that they've got, and they got a hell of a defense.
Well, Pete, and that ablation, as you called it correctly, our friend Tom Howe had that done at least twice. A lot of people have, it occurs, folks, when your heart is all of a sudden it starts accelerating and it doesn't want to slow down. And I'm not sure if it's skipping beats, Pete, along the way, but they need to shock it more or less. And it's not a pleasant way to do it, but I think they have to go up through the venous vein and go up into your heart. It's not like through your skin here, it's up into that, through those veins that go all the way down into your groin and your legs. They have to basically slip this thing all the way up there and then shock the heart right back into the right rhythm. And so it's not like open heart surgery, but I guess it could be dangerous. And the fact that Jim has had to have this done, I think is a good thing that he got it taken care of, because he'll feel so much better. Because otherwise, every time your heart starts racing for whatever reason, you wonder if it's just going to keep going. And instead, you're the guy with the medical background. But I think this is a positive for Harbaugh to have this out of the way.
I agree totally. And it's something, obviously it was addressed and it's been taken care of. And hopefully he's going to be fully recovered and be outstanding. I still put him up there, John, in my ratings of coaches in the NFL and just coaches in general. But he was successful at San Diego. He's successful at Stanford. He was successful at San Francisco. He was successful at Michigan. And last year, not such a bad year. I think the guy's going to have even more success this year. The guy's got to be ranked up there somewhere as one of the best coaches anywhere. I mean, at every level. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And, hats off to him, prayers with him. And I'd love to see him get those guys back to the Super Bowl. That'd be great.
That would be great. Well, I'll tell you what else will be great. The webinar that I've already described that you guys can tune into. Make sure you go to marketrebellion.com/register so that you can join Pete, join Mark Lepresti, join Greg McDermott for that webinar tomorrow night, 4 p.m. Eastern. And keep in mind, even if you can't make it, we will still send you a copy of the entire webinar as long as you register. So just go there and register now and either attend live and watch it on the repeat, which used to be Pete's nickname for a while. We had Pete and repeat.
That's true.
Well, thanks for joining us, folks. We will be repeating. We will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll see you then.